Okay, so let's go in and take a look at this new client management business solution that I've created. I want to show it on a Mac machine and a Windows machine. In this case here, I'm recording it on a Mac machine. This machine can be a little bit slower than anything else because it is not just running FileMaker at some point, but it also runs the recording program where I'm recording this video, and at the same time it's running VNC Viewer where I have a Windows session so that I can show you how it looks on a Windows machine. It also has to be said that the Mac machine looks a little bit better because of the resolution, and also because when I'm running the Windows machine in the VNC Viewer session, then it gets a little bit distorted. But far from that, when we start up FileMaker, we will see there's two different ways of doing it. I have described these ways in my prior video called Get Started. But here you will see that we start up on this version of FileMaker, that is a FileMaker 13. We will start up with called Quick Start, and then when we go over on the Windows machine, we will have a FileMaker 14, and there we will start with the Launch Center instead of the Quick Start. But let's go in and take a look at it right away. So here on the Mac machine, I'll go down to the dock. I'll start up the FileMaker. It also has to be said that on my network, I have two clients now running, but I also have a FileMaker server. So when I go in here to Quick Start, as I said, this was a version 13, and how do I know? Because if I go up here to FileMaker Pro Advanced, up here about FileMaker, you can see here I'm running on a FileMaker Advanced 13. So here in the Quick Start, and I have gone through that in my prior video called Get Started, so here I'll just choose the solution we will look at called Client Management Business Solution. When I click here twice, I'll get this small window up. The reason is that I just said on my network I have two workstations plus a server. In this case here, this workstation, this is a Mac workstation, I will host the solution just to show you how peer-to-peer works. So I'll get this small window here where it says you want to run the solution here on this machine locally. If I choose use local version, means that I am the host, and I'll do so in a few seconds. But if let's say that the solution was hosted on the Windows machine, then I will of course click here use hosted version, because then I'll try to log in to the Windows machine and share that solution over there. So in this case here, I'll just click here and say use local version. And as you can see here, now this is the main menu in this new solution called Client Management Business Solution. And then I'll take this a little later, because now I'll go over and show you how it looks like on a Windows machine, and as you will see, it looks very much the same as soon as you get into the main menu. But you first have to get in there by defining where you want to run the solution. So if I minimize this, I go down and start up my VNC Viewer, and over here this is a Windows 7. So if I go over here and I find the FileMaker and start it up here, then you will see that I will open the Launch Center first, and over here we have two tabs, My Solutions, where I'll have all the favorites and the recent open files. Or I can go into Host, and in this case, because I'm on the Windows machine and because I want to log in to the Mac machine, I'll go into Hosts. If I've already done that, because if I've done that once and I have created what we call favorites, then I don't have to go over to Host. I can just go over here to Favorites and launch it from here. But I just want to show you here on the Host. As soon as I get into Host, you will see there's two other machines that runs FileMaker on the network. As I said before, I had two workstations plus a server. Because the Mac is now a host also, the Mac workstation, then I have now two hosts, because I have the FileMaker server and I have the workstation host. So here I'll go into the Mac machine because that's where it's hosted, and then you can see there's only one file here hosted, and that's the Client Management Business Solution, and then I'll click twice on that. And then you will see the menu looks very much the same as it does on a Mac. It's a little bit distorted because the resolution is less on the Windows machine, therefore it looks a little bigger. And then also when you're running in the viewer and it doesn't fit exactly to the screen, it looks a little bit distorted. But else, if you look at the menu, and if I go in and get the Mac version of it, you will see here the menu looks exactly the same. There is a few differences, and that will not be because it's running on a Windows and a Mac. It will be because which version of a FileMaker do you run? Do you run 13, 14, or 15? Which one do you run? Because the 15 has much more, how can I say, fancy features than an older version has. So sometimes when people run on a newer version, they said, oh, but I have all this, but when I log in on my older machine, some of this stuff is missing, and I will go through what is missing later on, but just have that in mind. So I will go in and close out the Windows machine. Let me minimize the Mac first. You can see here now I have opened the main menu. If I regret and I want to close down the program, I will go over here to the left corner here on the menu, and there you can see it says exit. As soon as I click there, I get into the startup menu that I have created, and in here I can either restart, I can go back to where I were, or I can just exit the solution. And when I click here exit, it doesn't just close down the file, it also closes down the program. That's the reason I use this, because then I don't have to go up and close down the program, because if I click here it does both. It locks out from the host and then it closes down the program. And here, that was it. FileMaker is closed and it sits down here still on the taskbar on the quick launch, but it's not started up. It's already closed. But let's go in and look at the Mac version right away here. So let me minimize this here and let me go back and launch the main menu here in the FileMaker. When we are here in the FileMaker, this is the main menu. That's where you have to end up as the beginning. And there is a main menu and then there is a setup menu. And as we can see here, these small icons here, small circles or small buttons, these are the menu points. And then over here I have one called setup. As soon as I click on setup, I go over to the setup menu, who looks very much the same. It also has an exit button here, but in the middle you will see that here there's just a picture. If I go back to the main menu, there is a button. So when I'm in setup, also you can see the different buttons here, the name of them have changed. So what's the difference between the main menu and the setup menu? The main menu is where I will work every day, because as we know, this client management business solution is concentrated about clients. Then it is combined with case numbers. That's it. And to a client, you have a client's address, but you also have the contact information that belongs to that client. And you have notes, remarks, special remarks that belongs to the client. But all of this is tied up in what we call Business Explorer. That's where I will start searching for a client here. That's the main menu. When I go over to the setup menu, then I have the setup. That's what I set up in the beginning when I start using this solution. But it's only a place I'll come once in a while if needed to, because if I have set up a user once, then it's only to maintain it I come here, or perhaps delete the user, but I am not in here because nothing in here is combined with the clients I will see every day. It's just a place where I set up the program and I set up the users who use that program, and in here is also the place I can back up my solution. So if something happens to my computer, because in this case here I was hosting it on a local machine on a workstation, and it doesn't have the same feature as a server has, where the server can automatically back up these solutions because it's running in the background. Here I have to do it manually, and that's what I do here in the setup menu, because as soon as I go over to the main menu, here I deal with clients, cases, and their addresses, their contact informations, if there should be any specific remark files on that client, And we also have what we call a case log file. That is that if a case will be given up after a while where a customer hasn't showed up for a while and we want to reuse a case number, then we can file all case numbers or all client case number combinations can be saved in the case log file, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But what is important is that these are the menus. So when we get in here, we will first get into the main menu, then we will have the setup menu, but where we will normally run around is here in the main menu. And if I click on any of these buttons, I get into either a card, not a menu. So if I click here on a client, I'll get into a client card. And to go back again where I just came from, I go up here, and in this solution here on this version, I have like a small one say open main menu. As soon as I click on that little red one, I'm back again in my main menu. If I go in here to case numbers, I'll again have a case file card. And in here on a card, up here in the top, I will have the navigation. Because here you can see I can either, when I click on record, what can I do with the record? I can list records. So if I click lists, I'll get a list of records here. If I go up here again and click records and say cards, I'll go back again to my cards. Then I have one called management. What can I do in here? And here there is none. For the time being, there is none in here on the case management. What I have though is small icons here who can do things like create new case cards. I can delete case files, and I can go in and duplicate case files. And then over here I go back to where I came. That means I go back, if I click here navigation, where do I want to go? To the main menu, the setup menu, or the startup menu. Remember, when I get out to my main menu, over here to the left I have what we call exit, and as soon as I go in here on the exit, I get my startup menu. And in here I can either change the user that's logged in by going over here to log in as, or I can go in and just start the program from the beginning, or just go back where I just came from. So now I'm back in the main menu. Or I could have gone in here and exited out. Just click here, then I close down the file or the connection to the server if that was the case. In my case here, I'm hosting it, so I'm closing down the file. And remember, as I have said in a prior video, that if I'm the host and I have other people to log into my workstation, then my workstation has to be turned on and my program has to run and the file I want to share has to be opened. So let's go back again to the main menu. So this is the first thing I wanted to show you. How do I get into FileMaker? And this menu will look the same on a Windows machine. So when you get in here, up here we have what we call a header. Here we have called footer. And here we have the body. And in this place here, there is no place to enter anything other than navigate. That means I can jump. So this is really just a turnpike. Like here, if I go into main menu, it's the same. In here I can get in to the different cards. But this here, I can't enter anything here. I can't enter any data. I can't drop any files. I can only navigate. So these menus here are navigation menus. And as soon as I get into a file or a list form, then in there I can either enter stuff or I can choose stuff. But I'll go into that more in depth. But very important for me is when you log in, you find the program on your desktop. Either like on a Mac, you go down to the docs and then you start it down here. If you are on a Windows machine, you'll go in to a taskbar under quick launch and then you will launch it from in there. But as soon as you have chosen if you want to host a file or a solution or you want to log in to a host, as soon as you're in, this is what you see Here you see the main menu. When you click here on setup, here you see the setup menu, and over here now it says main menu, so you go back. So it's the same place. You go into setup, it's over here to the right in the lower corner, and if you go out to main menu, it's in the lower corner. Also, what it's tried to do in this solution is to make it so that it is consistent throughout the program. If it works in one window, it will work in other windows. If it's the same type of windows, this is a navigation window. If you are in a card window, then you have the same. You have a header, you have called footer, and you have a body. And in this header, you have navigation buttons up here, record, management, and navigation. If I go back again to where I just were here, and I went into, let's say, address, you will see I have a card again. Of course, here in the body, things looks a little bit different, but the headers and the buttons should look very much the same. Doesn't matter what card you're in. If you're in an address card, or you are in a client card, or you are in a case card or remark file card, they should look the same. So here is the turnpikes. That is the main menus. So when you get into the program, that's where everything starts. The next video, we'll go in and look at the navigation on the cards and the list forms. So let me go out of this, and again, as I showed you in the Windows version, here to the left we have here called exit. As soon as you click there, you come in here to the start menu, and in here you can either restart the program from the beginning, you can go to where you just came from, or you can exit the program or the database or the solution and the program in one hook just by clicking here exit, or I could log in as somebody else. That means it logs me out, and I can then log in where I can log in as another user. And I will make a video just to show you how that works in, how can I say, in a quick way, so that you don't get too focused on that, because these logins is combined with the security, and the security you set up once, and when it has been set up once, you don't look at it again, other than if you want to change certain securities, of course. But let me go out of this here again, and then I do it here by exiting. If I go back to the Windows, if I go back here just to prove my points, and I go in and start up the Windows version of it, you will see here now, because I closed down the database and the program, you can see now it's not in my launch center. It is not in my launch center because I just closed it down. So now I can only log into my server, but the client is gone. So again, I can only emphasize that when you want to share a solution, like here I go in to FileMaker again. FileMaker has to be running. First of all, the machine has to run, of course, but then FileMaker has to run, and then the program has to run. So if I say OK here, I will be the one who hosts it. Say yes. And as soon as this one is up running now I'm ready. I can just minimize it, because let's say that I'm hosting it and I'm just using once in a while, I'm using Word perhaps, I'm using other programs, the internet and so on. Then I just minimize it. If I'm the host, I should never close it. I should only minimize it. That's it. So that if the Windows machine comes in here, then right now you will see that it's not present here. But that's because I have to refresh the window. So if I say, okay, let me click it down here, close it here, then you can see I got the launch center. And here, when I'm under host, remember I have my solutions, that's the favorite and the recent files. But here under the host, you could see right away, now when the Mac machine is up running again and is getting hosted, then I can see it under these two hosts. And what I wanted to do was that I want to log in to the client, not the server, because I wanted to show the peer-to-peer solution. And here I just click twice, and now I'm logged in to the Mac machine. And as you can see here, the menus look exactly the same. You click setup, and here you have user setup, backup, and reference. If I go back to main menu and go into a case file, you see in here is the case file card. And up here you can see there's that little red one where it says open main menu. I could just click navigation and then click main menu. But if I want to do it in a quicker way, just not have to choose it, but just go back to where I just came, just say open main menu. and then it goes back here. And this is the turnpike. But that video here now should give you so that now you can find the app that I showed you in Get Started, and now in this one where we're talking about the turnpike and the main navigation part of the program, now I can get in to the main menu and the setup menu, and I know how to navigate that. Then I will go in and take a look more detailed what the cards and the list cards and so on will show you. So without further ado, I will end this movie here or video so that it's not too long. So but here, to get out, I just press here exit, and here I go in and say exit, and now the program is closed. So I'll minimize the windows here, and then in here you will see it's still running here, and as I said, if you're the host you should let it run all the time, just minimize it. That's it.